so much for joining us.
Thanks, Amanda. It's great to be with you, and happy Independence Day week to you and to your family. And it's
Indeed.
going to be great.
I know I wore my watermelon earrings. I'm already getting in the spirit of the cookout and celebrating our great country. First of all, I love when President Trump, this new thing of ending his Truth Social post with "Thank you for your attention to this matter." It's just amazing. Like it is some office memo reminding people not to use the middle bathroom in the ladies' room. It's just incredible. But I want to ask you about this one big beautiful bill, Tom Tillis. You know, at this point, it's not really surprising because he's been what seems to be like a Republican in name only for a while, establishment. He has not supported President Trump on a number of major pieces of legislation. And now he says he's not going to run again. Great, but I would imagine that with primary challengers like you, he probably would have lost anyway.
He would have lost, and I know our campaign was going pretty well, Amanda. I didn't know I was going to run him off out of the race before the 4th of July, but I wish I could take credit for that. I got to give the president credit for that. But look, this guy has been anti-Trump on some of the most important issues, important to North Carolinians. He sponsored legislation in the first Trump administration to protect Robert Mueller, an unconstitutionally appointed prosecutor. He opposed Trump's border law in the first administration. Then he wrote an op-ed opposing the president's proposal for an emergency at the border, and that was published in 2019. Then you come over into the second administration, and he tries to torpedo the nomination of my friend Pete Hegseth, who I've worked with on rules of engagement issues when he was at Fox and even before. And Tillis had promised that he would support any Trump nominee coming out of committee. Pete comes out of committee, and Trump takes an affidavit from his sister-in-law trying to torpedo that nomination. Then Ed Martin, who was going to investigate J6, and Trump, I don't think, wanted to know the truth about J6. So it's been one thing after another. And then you get to this bill. Well, he starts monkeying around with the bill. He wants to put green energy stuff in there, just textbook Obama and Biden, this green energy boondoggle. And the next thing you know, he's got an issue with the fact that some of his colleagues want, Medicaid recipients to actually work. Who would have thunk it? You got to, like the boss said, you don't work, you don't eat. And so it's just one crazy thing after another. And finally, the president had enough of it. We had pretty credible evidence that the president was very furious with Senator Tillis back when he tried to torpedo Pete's nomination. And it just came to a boiling point. And I can tell you, Republicans in North Carolina are celebrating this week. It's going to be a great Independence Day week for those of us in North Carolina because we know that the Rhino Senator is gone, baby. And I'm looking forward to taking his place and to taking on the Democrats also.
Happy 4th of July indeed. All right, so I assume you are also looking forward to taking that call when President Trump says that he's going to be meeting with the primary challengers. What will you say to President Trump to convince him that you're the one that he should endorse?
Well, I'm going to ask the president to look at track record. I was involved in battling the 2020 election steal, worked very closely with Sidney Powell, working on 3 teams actually. I've been involved in defending J6 patriots, when Tillis said, hey, if you walked into Capitol, even if you did nothing, walked in and walked out, you should have gone to prison. President Trump has pardoned 2 of my clients. Elliot Bechet, who was the youngest J6 patriot, all Elliot did was walk in and walk out. And on the morning of March 18th, his dad calls me and says, hey, Don, get this, I've got 12 FBI counterterrorism agents raiding my house. And I threw my suit on and go to the federal courthouse, Columbia, South Carolina. The kid was charged with 5 misdemeanors, Amanda. So I've been a champion for freedom, a champion for the president's policies. Pete Hegseth and I have had a very close working relationship. We worked to help the president, convince the president to pardon former Army Lieutenant Clint Lorance. And I had 3 other JAG officers working with me, John Meyer and Kevin Mikashek and Dave Bolgiano, but it was a team effort. But I've already been working with the administration off and on for the last 10 years in various capacities, investigated the shoot down of the Extortion 17 helicopter in the Obama administration where we lost 17 members of SEAL Team 6 and 30 Americans. I wrote the book on that. So I've been a champion of military rights, defending our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marine for proper rules of engagement, try to stop the election steal, have been a battler also in medical freedom. In fact, brought a major litigation against the Savannah River nuclear plant over this dangerous mRNA jabs. That case went to the 4th Circuit Court of Appeals in Richmond before Biden backed down. We were able to save those jobs. And so medical freedom is going to be a big deal. I'm looking forward to working with Secretary Kennedy in that regard. So it's the background test. And I would ask the president, just look at the candidate's background. Look at the candidate's track record. And, if you want the most MAGA candidate, you got him. You're looking at him right here. And I'm looking forward to to stepping into the seat that was once held by the great Jesse Helms and putting an America First senator loyal to the president in the last 2 years of the administration in that seat.
Sir, we often talk about this three-headed monster between China, Russia, and Iran, but we forget that it's also a four-headed monster when you tack on North Korea. And we've had this cancer growing across this country of these nations that are absolutely our adversaries, purchasing land near sensitive sites, near nuclear sites, near military sites, and you are looking to ban that absolute out of North Carolina, right?
The first 7 words of the Constitution are "We, the people of the United States," and that's where it starts. And I heard your Andy Biggs talking earlier about some people think these illegal aliens deserve due process. You don't get due process unless you're an American citizen or a citizen of the United States. And purchasing land near military installations is a very, very dangerous thing. I mean, you saw as an analogy what happened in the war over there in Ukraine, and we got to cut the money of that war. But the Ukrainians launched drones close to Russia's strategic bomber bases, and we can't be having that here. So that land's got to be reclaimed. It's got to be given back to Americans. And I'm going to push very hard for federal legislation to protect American farmers and American landowners. We got to get these communists out of our country in terms of owning land, and especially their sensitive military bases. It's got to come to an end.
Yeah, absolutely. Don Brown, we wish you the best of luck. Come back soon. Keep us posted on your campaign.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Brown for NC.com. Look forward to coming back, and God bless.